is our destiny, but we must all play our parts.
Hello everyone! Welcome to this detailed guide to help players understand the ins and outs of Zenyatta. This is by no means comprehensive. I created this guide to inform players of Zenyatta's role and to help teams succeed when he is chosen. Contrary to popular belief, Zenyatta is a support. He's not a healer. He specializes in debuffing. His strengths include extreme range, high DPS output with no drop-off, a powerful tank-killing debuff, a reliable AoE ultimate, and a relatively small hitbox. Yet, he is very squishy and has very little HP. He has shields which regenerate, but they do not mitigate damage. He has no escape mechanism, which means he's very vulnerable to attack. All of his abilities require line of sight, and he is very dependent on teammates for protection. When playing Zenyatta, your primary role is to debuff. You have an ability called Orb of Discord, which you can cast on a single enemy. Once applied, your Orb of Discord increases damage inflicted to that enemy by 50%, which makes it a very effective tank killer. Use it often to support your team and to score quick kills. The Discord Orb is always tethered to you. It can be cast on targets in line of sight up to 40 meters away, but the orb will return if the target dies, or if they leave line of sight for 3 seconds. Note that allies do not hinder line of sight. While you may not be capable of seeing the target through an ally, Zenyatta has the unique ability to find targets through allies. The red indicator provides all the information you need. Once a Discord Orb is applied, you can even aim for the head without seeing it. Simply aim for where the arrow is pointing. That will always guarantee a headshot, with some practice, of course. This also means that you can use your allies as literal meat shields. Another benefit of the Discord Orb is that it can relay to you the position of the enemy who holds it. The effect also ends after 3 seconds once the enemy leaves line of sight. This is useful for calling targets, tracking snipers, and even anticipating enemy movements. As Zenyatta, your second priority is to heal. This is where the Orb of Harmony comes into play. Like the Discord Orb, the Orb of Harmony can be cast onto allies in line of sight up to 40 meters away. Once applied, your ally will heal over time. But Zenyatta is not a main healer. His heal is weak in comparison to Lucio and Mercy. He can only heal one person at a time, but at a great distance, and at relative safety. You must position yourself behind your allies and work hard to keep them in line of sight. Often, your allies do not understand this, and this can strain a Zenyatta player. Outside of organized groups, you will find people who do not understand Zenyatta's mechanics. They will not treat you like the vital resource you are. They will pretend you are a main healer, and will pretend that it is your job to defend yourself, often citing the classic phrase, "Switch if you're getting killed too much." And you may have to, because if your team refuses to defend Zenyatta at all times, there is almost no point in playing Zenyatta. This is why your heal is secondary. You will complement a healer by reaching people they cannot. Zenyatta is capable of dishing out a lot of damage at extreme distances. His orbs have no drop-off damage, but they are slower than most projectiles. Hitting targets at range will take some considerable practice, but once mastered, Zenyatta can be effective at taking out snipers, bastions, and turrets with ease. It is wise to apply Discord Orbs to targets you and your team are taking down. His great range complements his playstyle. A good Zenyatta will stay far away from the fight, while still keeping allies and enemies in line of sight. This takes time to master, as some positions in certain maps can be vital to victory. Zenyatta can also charge up 5 orbs to be unleashed in a single volley, but using volley comes with its own positives and negatives, such as each volley orb does less damage than the standard attack. Normally Zenyatta does 45 damage a hit, but each volley orb is 35 damage. This means he can do a maximum of 175 damage if all 5 orbs hit. Aiming high is very wise, as Zenyatta's orbs have a generous hitbox. Most enemies have a large hitbox for the head as well, and your Orb of Discord marker makes it easier to find at range. When combined, the Orb of Discord and Volley transforms Zenyatta into a makeshift sniper. The only drawback is that it requires some practice. It is worth noting that Volley doesn't need full ammo to function. You can still charge up to 5 orbs, even if you only have 1 left. If you're going to play Zenyatta, know that you are very fragile. You are the very definition of a glass cannon. Your range and DPS output comes at a great cost. This is balance. You can be the game-changing asset to your team, but they need to realize that. The Orb of Discord is not to be taken lightly. Combined with the Orb of Harmony, Zenyatta is perhaps one of the best pushing characters in the game. All of that is made clear when you look at his ultimate. When Zenyatta uses Transcendence, he becomes invulnerable. He emits an AoE heal that can cancel most DPS ultimates. Just note that your team will not be able to survive Junkrat's Riptire or D.Va's Self-Destruct. What it will allow your team to do is push without fear of taking damage. All they have to do is stay within your AoE and they are fine. They can be as aggressive and as risky as they want, which is perhaps far better than any one DPS ultimate. When you have 5 people throwing caution into the wind with no fear of turrets, bastions, or bombs, you have a fearsome force indeed. But the problem is that people haven't quite discovered this yet. Zenyatta's biggest flaw is not that the player who controls him doesn't understand him. It's that most teams do not understand him, nor embrace his potential. His ultimate is often wasted because no one takes advantage of it. People will still play cautiously and defensively when under the effect of his heal, not realizing that they are practically invulnerable for 6 seconds when Transcendence is in use. I created this video to help teams understand how to react to Zenyatta. If one of your teammates chooses Zenyatta, it is your responsibility, not the Zenyatta player, to make Zenyatta a worthwhile pick. A good Zenyatta is a measure of how effective his team is at exploiting his toolkit. This is why Zenyatta is seldom chosen, and those which do choose him often beg and plea for their allies to take advantage of his tools. When a Zenyatta begs, it is not the case of a player trying to be bossy. It is a player who understands Zenyatta. In order for the team to succeed, they should remain in a tight formation around Zenyatta. Not too close, of course. A well-placed Riptire can spell the end for a team, but close enough to benefit from a twitchy Zenyatta who spams Transcendence, to counter Reapers, McCrees, and Pharahs with ease. Defend Zenyatta. Do not expect the Zenyatta to watch your back. Just because he is behind everyone, that doesn't mean he's watching the back line. If anything, he's too busy marking targets and healing to pay attention to anyone creeping up behind him. Often it is necessary to have a person trailing behind Zenyatta, serving as his personal bodyguard. This is because Zenyatta doesn't have an escape mechanism. If he did, this wouldn't be necessary. There are too many Reapers, McCrees, and Genjis out there, and they love to kill Zenyatta with 1 or 2 shots. When no one defends Zenyatta, the team falls apart. He becomes a wasted pick, and the enemy will often try to exploit this. So if you see a Zenyatta on your team, be a team player and defend him. Sure, it's no fun. It's fun to feel like a badass running, gunning, and killing everything in your wake. But in the end, this is a team game. And Zenyatta is a character who requires a very cooperative team. Understand that. You may find that Zenyatta isn't as terrible as you might think. When facing a Zenyatta, it is important to shut him down. He is fragile and weak, and many teams do not appreciate his power. If they are not skilled, they will leave Zenyatta vulnerable. But if they do not, here are some recommendations. Know that Zenyatta's hitbox is largest around his legs. He has a unique silhouette. Aiming low provides an almost guaranteed hit. He has almost no health at all. A few shots and he's dead. By abusing him and harassing him, you can potentially force him to waste his ultimate. Since he has no escape mechanisms, he may use it to save his own hide in a pinch. This means that if he uses it for selfish gain, then the team isn't pushing, and a team that isn't pushing is a team that is losing. When Zenyatta dies, he has no fast way to move around. This makes him vulnerable on the back line when he is trying to return to the fight. A good Zenyatta may choose to wait for allies to die before returning to the fray. This is because he is useless without support, and too easily killed when alone. This is why Zenyatta is a difficult choice for certain control maps. But on escort and defense, he's often very ideal, especially on payload missions, when he can help the team push, and the team is often clustered together anyway. He is especially good for defense maps because he can benefit greatly from other supports like Symmetra and Torbjorn. The additional shield and armor allows him to be more aggressive. And Discord Orbs are handy at quickly dispatching Winstons and D.Vas who may quickly rush the point. Select Zenyatta when you are with a team who understands him, or make it a point to educate your team on his shortcomings and strengths. He plays very differently from most supports. Torbjorn is powerful on his own and doesn't need help from anyone. Symmetra can create her own gauntlet of death all on her own. But Zenyatta is radically different. He needs his team to use him, not the other way around. In conclusion, I hope you found this guide helpful. I really want people to understand why Zenyatta is so different. With luck, people will take this guide to heart and learn to utilize him better. Or they'll just laugh at me and say I'm a noob scrub or something. I'm sure both will happen. This is an FPS after all. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you all in-game. Stay tuned for more guides in the near future, and don't forget, like and subscribe and all that jazz. This is Vanadrum, signing off for now, and don't forget, the world needs heroes.